So going back to episode 5 where I had this powerful experience in the car driving back from the event that our church had, and where I described it as just too intense. It was too much, and I discounted it as sexual attraction because it was just very powerful. And that's not to say that twin flames coming together can't have a sexual attraction or attractions on many levels. It's just that I think that when you've got alpha and omega, the plus and minus of a magnet, that it's a powerful attraction, and things come up between you that are amplified from what a normal attraction might be. I mean, it's amplified, especially when some barriers are removed and God opens your eyes or opens your heart to one another. Now, so I just want to continue with that, where I ended up and said that I dropped her off at her place, and then I went home and I said, then I talked to my wife. So I went in there and I almost said that, because I'm very open with my wife. I didn't want to keep any secrets from her. Now, I almost said that I felt an attraction with Corinne, but I caught myself and I go, that's probably not a good thing to say. But what I said instead, I said, Corinne's a very unusual person. You never know what's going to come out of her mouth. You never know what she's going to say, which is true. And that's the part I find very fascinating with her and very engaging. And then my wife responded, and I said, she's a Scorpio. They're intense, and the people in the sign of Scorpio I find to be intense and very focused and somewhat unusual. And my wife responded, well, don't I have planets in Scorpio too? And right away I got the message, don't mention her name ever again. Don't mention her name ever again, because I could sense and feel the energy of jealousy that I had found Corinne engaging. And she came, and I said she was a Scorpio, and she said, well, don't I have planets in Scorpio too? And then I realized, don't say anything more about Corinne to her. And I never did. But I sat down at the table and I go, I felt attracted to her. Now, I was told by somebody that, actually it was somebody in the comments here to one of my videos, that if we were twin flames, we would recognize each other by our eye contact. And I wish that was true. I don't think that's always true. I know it's not always true. God doesn't reveal things always through your vision. He reveals things to your heart as well. And both can be deceived. You can be deceived by what you feel towards somebody. It's when it's just a romantic, incredibly romantic relationship. It's sexual, or it's whatever. It could be all sorts of things. But with Corinne, it's never been, I recognize her, I see her in my eyes. What it's been is that it's been with my heart. My heart has opened up to her. My heart has had experiences with her. But the issue has always been that I don't really see her as being my twin flame. I have on occasion, but on most of the time, I don't see anything on the outer, but I feel things on the inner. And I think that's might be a good thing, because a lot of times when we see things on the outer, we're attracted to outer appearance. We're attracted to outer stimulus. And I've never really looked to Corinne's eyes and said, there's my twin flame, I recognize you. No, that hasn't been the case, although there has been an episode where I looked at her and and this is going to seem rather weird, but I looked at her and I go, that feels like me moving, but how can it be me? I'm here. And I know that seems weird, but it just, and I was thinking this is really weird, but I was watching her move in our chapel and I felt like it was me moving. And I go, how can it be me moving when I'm here? And it was just one of these confusing things. But if you take it from the concept that we're twin flames are the same vibration, the same white fire core, and they're just a reflection of ourselves, that would make sense. But in my outer mind, I'm going, why would it seem like it's me moving when I'm here? It just seemed weird. And I've only experienced that once, and that's the only time through my outer vision, I've seen something through my outer vision that just seemed kind of strange, but through the lens of her being my twin flame, I guess that would make some sort of sense. But anyway, so that is the I can agree to that happening with twin flames, that when they look into each other's eyes they recognize. But a lot of times twin flames don't know they're twin flames until they're with each other for a while. I know that for a couple that know that they're twin flames, and they knew each other for years, decades, and then it just kind of unfolded. For some, it's an explosion, like what happened with me, which I'll explain. You could say that this ride down to the event, to the church event, and the ride back was an explosion, but it was an explosion that I discounted. There are other explosions that I will state later. But so I went back home, like I said that to my wife, didn't mention anything about it, and it just ended. And then she was out of my life for a couple years, because shortly after that she moved to another state, and I didn't think anything of it. Quite honestly, I did not think a thing about it. She was gone for a couple years, and as far as I was concerned, she was gone forever. I just never thought or desired her to be back. Not that it wasn't any dislike, or it was just that she was just a friend. She was leaving, and that was it. And I was okay with that. And I never thought of her very much, hardly at all, except if I knew somebody was going down to the state where she was at. I thought, well, she's there too. But I never thought about her during the years that she moved away. And that was until she came back in 2021.